record this. I'm going to record this. So when we're doing exercise 3-1 in chapter 3, when we're looking at the problem we're solving, we're looking at a beginning balance of 700. We've got a purchases of 3480, and we have an ending balance of 300. We need to solve for what we expended. So we're coming up with a number here that says, based on that, beginning plus purchases minus expenses equals ending balance, rearrange it, we got 3880. The two accounts that are going to be hit, one is going to be supplies, and one is going to be supplies expense. And again, we have one balance sheet account, supplies, an asset. We have one income statement account, supplies expense, an expense on the income statement. And none of this is affecting cash. I don't care how we paid for that stuff on 3480. Was it a payable? Might have been. Do we write the check? Do we pay cash? Could have. Doesn't matter. So I need to now come up with a journal entry. And then we solve this by saying, okay, I know what the number is. So I'm going to pop those numbers in there. And then what do I debit? What do I credit? Well, I've determined that it's not cash. So the cash is the easy one. Cash goes up, it's a debit. Cash goes down to credit. In my eyes, I think expenses are pretty easy too. Expenses are up, that's a debit. Expenses are down, that's a credit. So I'm going to go ahead and debit my supplies expense. Which means the only other choice that I have for my supplies inventory, or my supplies, is to credit it. Which actually makes some sense because I start with an asset called supplies. I'm reducing it by 3880. I've increased it by 3480. Got an ending balance. My ending balance is 300, bottom line. But the whole point is, how did I get from 700 to 300? It wasn't just using $400 worth of stuff. I said, great, $400, that's my number. I'm going to hang my hat on it. But not only was there $400 in stuff that I used up, but another 3480 that I bought and used up. So you had to calculate that 3880. That was the art when we're using exercise 3-1 in the homework. That was item 2, I believe. Okay. Any question on that? All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to divide you into groups. And right now, 4, 8, I'm going to divide you into groups of 2 or 3. Actually, there'll be one excess. So we're going to have 5 groups. And group 1 is going to do exercise A of exercise 3-4. We're going to do 3-4 right now. So you want to go in the same way we went into the book, gave you the student view, went to the table of contents, went to chapter 3, went all the way to the bottom where they had the exercises and the problems, went to exercises, went to exercise 3-4, what we're going to do right now. And I'm going to have you, there are actually 6 questions. I'll do the 6th one. But the 5 that I'm going to have you do are A, B, C, D, and E. So if you're in group 1, turn on your mics, talk to each other. You do A. If you're in group 2, you'll do B, C3, D4, E5. I am then going to get us all back together after we do the breakout rooms and have you show on screen, preferably in Excel, but it's okay to do it in Word, the journal entry. It's okay to do it on Google Docs or Google Sheets. But I want you, between the 2 of you, to come up with a journal entry. You'll explain how you did it, and you're going to share it with the class. You'll take over the screen, select which one of you is going to share your screen, and show and tell what you did, how you did. Because I know I can do it. I want to know you can do it. And this will help you for your quiz on Wednesday, because these are the kind of questions it's going to ask. By the way, was that adjustment we just made to supplies? Actually, type this in the chat. Was it an accrual or a deferral? Was the adjustment in supplies that we did an accrual or a deferral? I'm not going to get graded on this here. You might see it on a quiz, but right now, I just want to see how comfortable you are. Got one answer so far. We're looking for a whole bunch more. Accrual or deferral? A whole bunch of votes so far for one of them. Accrual or deferral? So accrual was an estimate. By the way, there's a question, is the room open most times to get these? The short answer is yes, the room should always be open. If not, you can stop by the office and have them unlock the door for you. I got here one Monday morning, actually last Wednesday morning it was locked. I got here this morning, Monday morning it was open. So I didn't have to use my key. I've had to use my key once out of the 10 times I've had class here. So the room is almost always open. So I'm getting accruals. Accruals are estimates, and deferrals are you've already spent the money. It's no longer an estimate. And frankly, this is a deferral. Wait a minute. I thought that was accrual. Well, interest expense. We didn't get a bill for interest. We're estimating. We're accruing interest. My wages. I got $1,000 a day, and I got to record 3 days in December because out of the 5 days, 2 are from January and 3 are from December. I'm estimating. It's a pretty good estimate, just like my interest is a pretty good estimate, but I never got a bill and I haven't written a check. Deferrals are when I've actually paid the money. I've got supplies inventory sitting on my books. I've got prepaid insurance sitting on my books. I've got unearned revenue. I got cash and I got unearned revenue sitting on my books for 10 grand. And then I got to move it over to earned revenue. Or I bought the supplies and now I need to move it from my asset down to my expenses. So technically, those are deferrals, not accruals. I've already written a check. I've paid for them or I've gotten the bill for them. I've recorded them. That's a deferral. If I haven't written the check yet, if I haven't recorded in my books, if I have to make an estimate, it's an accrual. So just to be clear on definitions, we've got accruals, we've got a deferral, and the accruals are the estimates. We're not estimating how much we use of materials. We know how much. Here's what we had. Here's what we bought. Here's what we got left. Here's what we used. That's a simple formula, basic algebra, basic addition, subtraction. Didn't have to multiply or divide. I know how much I used. But I already bought the stuff. And then I know how much is left. I know how much I used. So no estimate on that. These are accruals as opposed to deferrals. We booked it, sitting as an asset, sitting as a liability on the books already. If it's not there, if we're estimating how much in wages that we have to expense, how much in interest we have to pay, then that is the situation that we're using accruals. So I'm trying to trick you on that question, although most of you went for accrual, but in this case, we're talking deferrals because you know the numbers. All right, I'm going to put you in the breakout rooms. Any questions before we part? All right, then I'm going to go ahead, initiate the breakout room transfer, divide you into 5 rooms, give you a minute or 2 warning, but I'm going to get you back together again. Set you free, make sure you come off mute and talk to your neighbors. Last class, somebody thought they could do this without talking. It was a pretty good trick, but I would encourage you. So go for it. See you shortly. How you guys doing?
We're doing
I
good.
think we've got it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm not gonna fight you.
Do you want like the lines and all that stuff?
Yeah, just do a debit and a credit indent, journal entry in good form. Prepare it.
Okay.
We'll get back together in a couple minutes.
Okay.
All right, how we doing?
Pretty good. All right so far.
All right, making progress. That's a good sign then.
We've got the depreciation. We've got it narrowed down that it's an asset and it's on the left side of the chart, so it's a depreciation in the credit, and we're just putting it on the Excel.
All right, we'll do that together shortly.
All right.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, it's going right now.
Okay. How much do you need? One more time, or you?
Yeah, a little bit more time. I was trying to get my thing to work.
Damn, they're all already done.
Expected him to put us in breakout room.
Yeah, me
Hello.
either. Okay.
Good?
Right now we're trying to get our things connected, like our
Everything.
Google Docs.
Getting more connected?
And going.
Yes.
About another minute or two.
Oh God.
Can you not, do you see,
Okay, thank you.
are you able to see the problem?
Yes.
Yeah, so we're doing T, right?
So you guys, what room am I in? 4? So you're doing D.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Okay.
Very similar to, okay, yep, you got to figure out what to debit, what to credit, and how much to do it.
All right. So
Thank you.
You're welcome. You guys doing okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So I got a question. We're not making a T-chart like how you did, right? We're just making a journal. We're just recording, right?
You're making a journal entry that's in balance with debits and credits.
Yeah.
And it's just, what would the journal entry look like?
Like I'm just throwing one out there. Like it would be like cash 1,000 and then like accounts payable 1,000, like something like that.
Something like that, although obviously it's not cash. I gave you. Just journal entries are never cash, but yes.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Yeah, I know, but yes. The
Okay.
form usually has a date and a description too, but that's, I'm really
Okay.
concerned about the numbers and the accounts. But your good form is also a good thing now.
What is it? I'm sorry, you broke up a little bit.
A good adjusting journal entry form has a debit dollars, credit dollars, debit account, credit account, and a description.
Okay. Yes, sir.
There you go.
Appreciate you.
Sure, not a problem. Okay. Coming back together again.
November 31st.
Welcome back. So let's go ahead and take a look at your answers. We'll start with group 1. I'm going to ask you to share your screen and explain what you did. It's that green box in the middle at the bottom. So one of you probably has a document or a spreadsheet popped up. Thank you.
Okay. So our problem was the employees there were $8,000 that needed to be paid to employees, but they weren't as of December 31st. So wages expense gets debited to make it go up, and then wages payable as a liability gets credited to make it go up as well.
Yep, they both go up. You're debiting the expense, creating the payable. Looks like a good entry. If I said journal entry in good form, what two other things would you like to add to that?
Does it need like it needs to look like a T
The date
account?
and
Oh, the date and the year, right? Oh, that's part of the date.
date includes the year and the description. So you insert another column with the date, and then the third line, you put a description. And again, this was an accrual or is this a deferral?
This would be a deferral, right? Because it's an exact measurement because they have earned that much money.
Well, that's an interesting logic. Accruals are estimates, which means we haven't been billed yet and we haven't paid anything yet. Deferrals, we booked it. We got a unearned revenue or a prepaid expense. We don't have anything on the books yet for this, do we?
Okay, so then it would be an accrual.
It would be an accrual. We're estimating that $8,000. It's a pretty good estimate. We know our hourly wages. We know our salaries. Maybe it's $1,000 a day. And we got 10 days worth of wages. 8 were in December and 2 are in January. And you didn't have to calculate that. They gave you the $8,000, which is great. That makes it easy. But you might have had to calculate, well, I've got 8 days at $1,000 a day. I got to put that on the books for $8,000. And that's okay. And you did fine. So when you do that, you're going to be saying, okay, I got the expense. I'm going to debit. I'm going to credit the payable. Good to go. And you can put X1. You can put any year you want, make up a number. I like X1, X2, but you can do 20, 21, 22, whatever you want. Doesn't matter other than the fact. By description, we're accruing wages for year end. That's the technical description. We're estimating. We're accruing our year end wages. Meaning we got to put them on the books. We did the work, but it doesn't show up anywhere. So we need to get this on our income statement and on our balance sheet. And that's what our adjusting journal entry does. Okay.
So where would you, I guess, denote that it's an accrual?
Online, and I'll sell B3 or A3. I start typing accrue year-end wages.
I'm sorry. Account what?
Accrue year-end wages or month-end wages.
Like okay.
ACCRUE, accrue.
RUE. There we go. I can't.
You're welcome. Year-end wages.
And then
Nothing fancy. If you said it was $1,000 a day for 8 days, you could actually talk about it, or you can say hourly and salary. You want to be more descriptive? That's nice. I don't care. I just want it in there that says, oh, I got a description under here. Great, I'm covered.
okay.
That's a journal entry in good form. It has the date, what we're doing, why we did it, and then it has the debits and the credits, dollars and accounts being hit. All right.
Okay.
Go on to B. Who's the next group? Group number 2.
That would be mine. Let me pull it up. Sorry, I'm trying to get it to pull up. I'm hitting.
Share screen, is this green?
Yeah, I did it.
Alt tab all around. We're in that actually in our Excel, right, Excel session. Alt tab is cool. Like that.
No, I'm not.
I'm gonna have you explain. I'm not gonna analyze the technical glitches right now. Let's go to the problem. Depreciation of the company equipment for a year is $18,000. You didn't have to say, I've got my equipment, my salvage value over 5 years. Let me calculate my annual depreciation. It just told you $18,000. So I'm going to ask you, what do I debit, what do I credit, and how did you approach this? I'm going to go ahead and go on the whiteboard. You tell me what to do based on how would you solve this?
So basically, we took equipment and debited it for $18,000.
So the way I like to do it, I start with $18,000. Got the numbers. Good. That's a good start.
Okay.
Then you debit something and credit something. What were the accounts?
Equipment was debited for 18,000.
Debited. You credited.
Sorry, depreciating expenses, equipment.
Depreciation expense. And now you put the date here, /1/X1, description. To record annual depreciation. In the chat, do you agree with this entry or do you disagree? Agree or dis? Come up in the chat. One answer so far. I'm looking for a few more. Agree or disagree? I'm going to use the answer. Interesting. Some of you are agreeing, a lot of you seem to be agreeing. No, it depends about it. I'm going to disagree with this entry. What is my problem with this entry? So what happened when you credit an expense? Oh, that's interesting. My expenses went down. I'm reducing my expenses? I don't think so. It's a little confusing entry. So let's go back here. And let's say I'm going to forget the descriptions. I'm going to take my depreciation expense and debit it here for 18,000. That's where I'm going to start. Because expenses are debited all the time. Again, pick the easiest side. So according to this journal entry, my equipment went up $18,000 when I was recording depreciation. My assets went up 18,000. I'm sorry, I don't think so. My expenses went down $18,000 when I recorded depreciation expense. That means I increased my income $18,000. I don't think so. So I start by debiting my depreciation expense, and I then got to credit something. What am I going to credit? Now, I'm not going to credit the equipment directly, but I have an account called accumulated depreciation equipment. And that's where I'm going to put my 18,000. I have something called a contra asset account. It's an offset. You're right, the balance sheet normally has assets, and when you debit an asset, it goes up. But when you credit an asset, it goes down. So maybe I had originally, I might have had an asset here called equipment, 100K. I have an accumulated depreciation equipment account. It's going to take away $18,000. 100 minus 18 is going to leave me with $82,000. So my net value is going to show up as 82K just from the equipment. That makes sense. I have to credit the asset. I have to reduce the value of the asset. And that's the hard part. I, again, pick the easy number. Remember, I said cash goes up as a debit, cash goes down as a credit. Well, what happened to cash? Well, here, nothing. It's an adjusting journal entry. We never adjust cash. But I do see that I have an expense here. And my expenses are gonna get debited. So whatever the other side is, it's gonna be credited. I gotta debit something and credit something, I'm on my way. Does that make sense? Are we on the same page? Hoping we are. Okay. Let's go on to C, group 3. You're on, take it away. Now I have a group 3.
Yeah.
Byron or Ray, take it on. Which is it? One of you gets to show off or embarrass yourself, but no big embarrassment. We're in this together.
I'm trying to share mine, but I can't.
I'm going to call on one of you, or one of you going to take the initiative.
I'm trying to share the Word document I have.
I can't. Byron. Oh, I'm sorry.
What is it?
Go ahead.
Share.
Share.
How you get it to? I can't get it to share.
On the bottom, where on the green where it says share screen.
Yeah. Desktop.
Is it not sharing?
It's making me go in the system.
Yeah, I've got to allow participants to share screen, so that's in my. I've set that up as a default. You should be able to share. You're not sure?
I think it's about to work. Share.
What happens when you hit the green button at the bottom of the screen?
There we go.
There you go. You got it. You did it. Good.
You see it?
Okay.
I kind of just redid it with the information you gave us for 3-1. See,
Cool. So you calculated out, you got beginning balance, you got some purchases, you did the same formula. Cool. You listened well. Thank you. Came up with a number of $5,000. You started with 240, bought 5,200 bucks worth of stuff. You ended up with 440. So the remaining amount you used was $5,000. Okay. So you debited the expense and you credited the inventory. You sure about that?
no.
No. Say yes, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
Yes, you're sure, right?
Yeah.
Okay. With all the confidence, it's okay. You're right. You debit the expense. Supplied expense, I used up $5,000 worth of stuff. I got to put it on the income statement. I reduced my supplies inventory. I credited my supplies asset by 5,000 because it's not there anymore. And if you look at that T account, sure enough, you're going to have $5,000 of debits and credits. You're going to credit $5,000 in inventory. That T account is going to have a credit of $5,000. Are we on the same page? Are you confident that's right, Byron?
Yep. Yes, sir.
Right on. Okay, you're good. All right, that's what we're doing. We're trying to, this is a little more complicated, although we did practice it before at the beginning of class. But you got to calculate out how much you used up. How much do we expense for the month or for the year, whatever time period we're working. And the only other thing missing was that description. You've got the balance, date, the accounts. Good to go. Okay. Group 4, take it away. Go ahead and share your screen.
Alexis is going to be the one presenting. And to preface, we got a little bit confused.
Okay, that's all right. And we'll also see if we can unconfuse you while we're here.
Okay, so this is what we had. I'm gonna go to the question as long as my stuff
Sure,
decides
yeah,
to
show us
load.
the question. I like
Okay, so
that.
the prepaid insurance account had a
Thousands sitting in
$4,000
prepaid
beginning of the year.
insurance.
An analysis. Yes, sir. An analysis of insurance policy shows that 1,200 of unexpired insurance benefits remain at December 31st.
Okay,
So what we did was we debited the insurance expense at 2,800 and we credited the prepaid insurance at 2,800 and we got that number
make it a little bit
from
easier to read. Can you indent the
subtracting.
prepaid with the spaces, space it over, just yeah.
Yes.
A couple spaces, debits to the left, credits to the right. There you go. Thank you. So you calculated the amount of insurance that was used up.
Yes, sir.
You had a beginning balance, you had an ending balance. You didn't pay anything. You didn't add any payments, but you calculated how much the prepaid insurance went down during the year. You say it went down $2,800.
Yes, sir.
So you started at 4,000 at the beginning, you had 1,200 when you were done. During the year, you used up $2,800 worth of prepaid. So you debit the expense for 2,800, you credit the prepaid. So you increase the expenses and you reduce the asset because you still have $1,200 left for next year or next period or whatever the time frame is. I kind of like that entry. Looks pretty good. What's confusing about it? Talk to me.
To start with, we got a little bit confused on the calculation.
Okay.
And then once we figured that out, it was just a matter of fact of what went on top and what went on bottom.
You got it. Yeah,
Like the
calculation
insurance
is the
expense
hard
and the
work.
prepaid insurance.
You got that done. You did it well. And then you had to determine, do I debit the expense or credit the expense?
Thank you.
Easy part. I debit expenses. That's what I normally do. I got to credit whatever else is left. Okay. Let's go on.
Okay,
Group 5.
thank you.
Oh, thank you. Hold on. Who's up? Take it away. Share the screen. You're on. Care to explain? What's going on here? You might want to unmute because I can't hear anything. Hello? Aloha.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Good.
Is my screen sharing? I can't tell.
It's screen sharing. Yep, I see 1,050 adjustment. Debit 1,050, credit 1,050. What's going on?
So I guess we had a company has unearned interest revenue and they have to, I guess, the interest that they're owed has to be owed or paid by January 10th. So I guess we
It's getting
did.
paid next year. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Accrual or deferral?
Accrual?
Asking me or telling me?
Telling.
Tell me. There you go. Tell me whether you're right or wrong. Go ahead and tell me. But it is, so this is an estimate. Did you get a bill for this? Did you send out a bill for the revenue? You send out a bill to be paid interest? No. So you're saying it's an accrual. It's an estimate that I need to adjust my books by. And 1,000%, I agree. Good answer. And you're debiting the receivable and crediting the revenue. Is that what you normally do?
I mean, I may be wrong, but I know originally we did have the revenue first to be debited and then receivable to be credited. But when I looked at the example under it, it said revenue and had the CR beside it, so I changed it.
Okay. How confident are you in your change?
I guess a lot.
A lot. There you go. Of course, I credit revenues, my revenues go up. I debit receivables, my asset, receivables go up. They owe me the money, they're going to pay. Right on. Assets went up, I got a debit. Revenues went up, I got a credit. We're good to go. Good answer. Only thing missing is a description. We're okay with that. I'll do the last one for you and then I'll set you free. If you look at the last one, company has a bank loan. This is the opposite. It's $2,500 in expense that they're going to pay in January. So I've got, instead of having a receivable and a revenue, I've got an expense and a payable. I'm gonna debit the expense for 2,500 and credit the payable for 2,500. And then when I pay it next year, I'll worry about the cash later. The opposite of E. E is from the folks that borrowed the money. I borrowed money from you, and I gotta pay you back. E is I loan the money to somebody and they owe me the interest. I get interest revenue, not interest expense. But in F, I've got interest expense. Opposite of E, good to go. Before I set you free, any other questions?
There was a question I wanted to ask about that extra credit opportunity that we had last week.
Yep.
I didn't get my business credit for it.
Okay. I have some paperwork to fill out to get professional activity credit.
All right.
The books that were won are in the office now. If you won my LinkedIn book, that I talked about this morning, as I promised to do. But the professional activity credits will get credits.
All right, and I should hopefully have my write-up done by next class.
Okay, again, now for extra credit, at the time you have your write-up ready, tell me at the beginning of class and I'll try to fit you in.
All right.
You'll post it in Blackboard, the write-up, and you'll present in class, and you'll get the extra credit with this class.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks for asking. Anybody else? There's another depreciation account of that accumulated depreciation and depreciation expense of the two accounts, but that was ESPA 1207. So that's a while ago. All right, good to go. Thank you for your time, and we'll look forward to seeing you Wednesday.
I did have a question on one of the homework assignments, but I'm not entirely sure what the question was. So I'm gonna go back and look through and find it, and I'll have it ready for Wednesday.
Or if you want to schedule a time on Calendly, I can walk you through solving it too. So, but if you want to bring it up Wednesday, that's
Okay,
fine.
thank you.
Actually, Wednesday it might help the class, so that's good too. Either your choice. But thank you.
Okay, thank you. Have a good day.
You too. Appreciate it.